Okay, welcome everyone to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
So we've got a fresh stack of sources in front of us today. This is a collection of articles we pulled straight from CoinMarketCap, like this morning, June 7th, 2025.
Yep. And our mission, for this deep dive, it's pretty much the same as always. We're just going to try and slice through all this stuff. It's quite varied.
It is.
And pull out what we think are the most, interesting nuggets and insights for you.
Think of it as a shortcut, right?
Exactly. A shortcut to getting a handle on some key things happening right now across crypto, but also, the broader tech landscape.
And importantly, it's all based only on what's actually in this stack of articles.
Right. No outside speculation from us.
Exactly. So we'll touch on, well, a bit of everything. Some specific market movements. You'll see TRON activity, some analyst predictions. Then there's bigger corporate news, names like Circle, Coinbase.
Oh, yeah.
And this company, No Labs, which is doing something quite interesting.
Definitely caught my eye.
And even a pretty major AI development from Google that was in the mix.
So we're basically your guides through this material you shared. We'll highlight what seems important straight from these sources.
Let's do it. Let's unpack the stack. Where should we start? Maybe market pulses?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's start with some specific signals coming right from the market itself based on these articles.
Okay, diving in then. So one data point that immediately jumped out was a number from the TRON network.
The transaction count.
Yeah, hitting 8 million transactions.
Right. And what's interesting there, one of the articles really highlights this, is how an analyst is connecting that specific number to, market potential.
Predicting a breakout.
Exactly. They're predicting a price breakout for TRON based precisely on seeing this level of network activity.
So taking that on-chain beta.
Yeah, the raw data, the actual ledger activity, and using it as a kind of signal. A signal for, future price expectations. At least that's the analyst's take in the article.
Got it. And that kind of specific network buzz seems to tie into some broader sentiment signals mentioned elsewhere in the stack.
Like the whale activity piece.
Exactly. There's an article talking about some, big players, the whales, making what the source describes as all-in Bitcoin calls.
And if you look closely at the context that article provides, it explicitly links this kind of positive feeling directly back to traditional macro stuff.
Right. Specifically, the U.S. jobs report from last Friday, end of May.
That's the one.
Yeah, the article actually gives the details. It said 139,000 jobs added in May.
Which beat expectations.
Yeah, right. Beat they expect 125,000. And unemployment held steady at 4.2%.
Okay.
So the source, the article, is basically connecting these, solid job numbers directly to optimism in the crypto market.
Suggesting it's maybe a factor making these big holders feel confident enough for those all-in bets on Bitcoin, as the article puts it.
Yeah, it certainly highlights that narrative presented in the report, macro strength boosting crypto confidence.
Definitely a theme in that piece.
Okay, and speaking of specific market actions, there's also a mention in here of a particularly high leverage trade.
Ah, the Ogle trade.
Yes, shorting the ticker TRON.
And the article, it just lays out the mechanics, purely as market data. It describes a $1 million short trade.
On Hyperliquid.
Right, on Hyperliquid and using 10x leverage.
So just to clarify, a short is a bet the price goes down.
Correct. And 10x leverage means they're using borrowed money to amplify that bet significantly.
Yeah.
Which, boosts potential gains, but also potential losses big time.
And the article even specifies the liquidation risk price, which is
$12.49.
$12.49, yeah. And it notes that the price, when the article was written anyway, was kind of hovering near the entry range.
Making it a really precarious high-stakes position.
Exactly. Just presenting it as a piece of market data found in the sources, without getting into any other aspects of the ticker itself.
Right, just reporting the details from the source. Okay, so moving on from those market signals and specific trades.
Yeah.
This stack also had some pretty significant corporate level news.
Sure.
Strategic shifts happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, one that definitely caught my eye was the whole situation with Arca and Circle.
Ah, right. The article gives a very specific reason for Arca's move there.
Yeah. What was it?
They apparently completely divested, sold all their shares in Circle.
Wow. Okay.
And the reason given in the article, an IPO allocation dispute.
Okay, so a disagreement about shares in a potential public offering.
Seems like it. And the article notes, interestingly, that this whole thing has, quote, implications for USDC.
Which makes sense, Circle being the main issuer.
Precisely. So that dispute seems to have broader ripples, according to that source.
That's a, very concrete issue leading to a big portfolio change for Arca based on that piece. And, okay, staying with these key players, there was also an update from Coinbase in the stack.
Yes. The article highlights Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong specifically talking about account freezing.
Which has been a pain point for some users, right?
Exactly. Something people have been frustrated about.
Yeah.
But the key metric provided in the article suggests, well, significant improvement.
What was the number?
An 82% reduction in the frequency of those kinds of issues.
82%. That's a big number.
It is. And the report also mentions, pledges from the company for more improvements, more transparency on it going forward.
Well, if you've been affected by that, an 82% drop would certainly be welcome news.
You'd think so.
Okay, now, here's where I think it gets really interesting on the corporate strategy side. The news about Greg Kidd and the company No Labs.
Oh, yeah, this one stood out. It's pretty significant development detailed in the source. Greg Kidd is apparently set to acquire a controlling stake.
Taking over, basically.
Yeah, he'll become CEO and chairman.
Okay, but the part that really made me pause, according to the article, is how he's doing it, how the acquisition is being financed.
Right. It's not just cash. The article states he's using both Bitcoin and cash.
Using Bitcoin to buy a controlling stake in a company. That's notable.
It is. And there's a related strategic shift for No Labs mentioned right alongside it in the piece. It's very specific.
What's that?
They're adopting a Bitcoin treasury strategy.
Ah, okay. So holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet.
But not just a little bit. The article even gives a precise percentage.
Which is?
82%.
Hmm.
Bitcoin will apparently make up 82% of the company's treasury.
Wow. Okay, so 82%? That's not dipping a toe in.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's a very public, very significant pivot based on the source, holding the vast majority of their corporate reserves in Bitcoin. And using Bitcoin in the acquisition itself, it's quite a statement.
Definitely a strong strategic signal there. Okay, let's maybe broaden the view just a bit, because the snack also had that piece on the wider tech context, Google and AI.
Right, the Gemini update.
Yeah. The article announces that Google has revealed a preview of its enhanced Gemini 2.5 Pro model.
And they're giving it quite the label.
What's the label?
According to the piece, they're calling it their most intelligent model yet.
Okay, most intelligent. And the article makes it clear this is an improvement over the existing Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Correct. An enhancement on what they already have out there.
Got it. So, okay. Maybe let's try and synthesize this a bit. Pull these different threads together from the sources.
Yeah, let's step back and look at the collection.
Because when you look across this whole stack, varied as it is, you see specific network data points, right? The 8 million TRON transactions. Then an analyst linking that directly to price predictions.
Right.
You see broader market mood being connected in an article to macro data, those job numbers beating expectations, the steady unemployment rate.
Yeah, the 139K jobs, 4.2% unemployment.
Then you pivot to really specific individual actions, like that high leverage short trade with the $12.49 liquidation price point.
Very specific.
And then you have these corporate stories, a dispute causing divestment, like Arca and Circle.
That IPO allocation issue.
Major platform like Coinbase reporting that big 82% drop in account freezes.
Addressing user concerns.
And then this, quite striking strategic move by No Labs using Bitcoin for an acquisition and deciding to hold 82% of their treasury in it.
A really bold move outlined there.
And then, alongside all that, you have a tech giant like Google announcing its, quote, most intelligent AI model update.
Exactly. And reviewing the material like this, piece by piece, lets you pull out those precise details we just listed. The numbers, the percentages, the specific reasons, the labels.
Yeah.
And when you see them presented together, like in this stack we reviewed, you start to maybe see connections or, contrasts.
Yeah.
Hints of larger trends, maybe overlapping narratives.
It definitely gives you, a clearer picture than just scanning headlines one by one. You see the specifics from the source material itself.
For sure.
So this deep dive today, we really just pulled those specific nuggets straight from the sources you provided. We hit on TRON activity, market sentiment tied to jobs data, that specific trade.
Right, the corporate actions, Arca Circle, Coinbase, No Labs.
That big No Labs Bitcoin treasury shift. And the Google Gemini update.
Yeah, really just reaffirming the value of getting into the material itself to see these details and how they might relate.
Okay, so let's wrap up with a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. And this is based purely on the totality of these specific sources we just went through.
Okay.
Given this particular snapshot from June 7th, 2025, you've got this mix highlighted in the articles. Some positive market signals, these distinct corporate strategies that include significantly adopting Bitcoin, and major AI advancements from a giant like Google. What does this specific combination, just from this collection of sources, tell you about where innovation and investment might be heading next? And which of these threads that we pulled out today, whether it's the market stuff, the corporate moves towards digital assets, or the big AI updates, which one feels most significant to you when you view it all through the lens of this particular stack?
Something to chew on. And we definitely encourage you to continue exploring any of these threads that, particularly caught your attention today.